Hey parents, if your child has got exams coming up, maybe year 6 SATs or GCSEs or A levels coming up, I know it can be a very stressful time for both of you. But don't worry, today I am sharing 10 research-backed strategies to help you support your child so they can study effectively, manage stress, and perform at their best. Hello, my name is Betty Johnson from B3 Inspire. I have over 20 years experience in education. I have lived and breathed teaching in the classroom and preparing students for exam. And some of these techniques I'm going to show you are techniques that I have practically used in the past. These tips are simple, practical, and backed by science. Let's dive in. The first tip is create a supportive study environment. Now, this first step creates the right environment for learning. Studies from the Harvard University shows that students who study in a quiet, well-lit environment retain 20% more information than those that study in a distractive or in a noisy area. How can you help? Choose a dedicated study area, preferably not on bed. And I know this can be a challenge, especially when they are teenagers, trying to get them out of bed for them to come and study, but encourage them to not do it in their bed. Minimize distraction. So turn off that TV and limit phone use. And this can be quite tricky, especially use of phones where children can say, but I'm using it for revision. I need my phone. As long as they are using it purposely for revision or to help them study, then that's okay. But if they've just got their phone next to them whilst they are looking at their books, then that is a distraction, because all it takes is one notification coming through and they look at it and that distracts them. They have to go and build that momentum back. So remove it if possible. Provide necessary supplies. So is there a notebook they need? Is there a pen? Is there a highlighter? Whatever they need, just make sure that they've got that. So when they are in their study area, there isn't any excuse. And it helps them to also just focus on the learning and not trying to find their resources. This simple step can make a huge difference in helping them to focus and making them more productive in studying. Secondly, establish a steady routine. Now, research from Stanford University shows that students who follows a structured, steady schedule perform 30% better than those who just study randomly. How can you help? Work with your child to create a study plan. And if you are watching this video right now, I've created a template free for you to download and use to create that with your child. Encourage a consistent study times each day. Use a whiteboard or a digital planner to track progress. One great way you can boost focus is using the Pomodoro Method. Let's talk about it next. One of the most effective study technique is called the Pomodoro Method. And I have used this in the past with my student. How it works. So basically you study for 20 to 30 minutes, fully focused, no distraction, and then you take 5 minutes break. That could be just a quick walk or having water or just stretching. Then you repeat 4 times, then take a longer break, which will be about 15 to 30 minutes break. So let's go about that again. How does it work? Get a child to study for 25 to 30 minutes, fully focused, no distraction, and then take 5 minutes break, either the child stretching or drinking water or going for a short walk. And then they repeat that cycle 4 times. Now, after they have done the 4th one, they take a longer 15 to 20 or 30 minute break. Now, encourage your child to use either a timer or there's an app actually called Forest, which I found out from my son when he was doing his A-levels. And this app is an app that helps the children to time themselves on how long they are studying. And what is really good about it, this is not sponsored video by the way, what is good about it from what I notice is it locks the phone, so when they are in their study zone, no calls can come in, no messages, no social media, it's just the study time, and the app then track them to see how long they have studied. So if the child is using the Pomodoro Method, maybe they can set it up for 25 to 30 minutes, and then they come off the app and take their break and reset it again. Now, it's also, this app called Forest also then rewards them, so they grow trees. Children can invite their friends who are also studying for exam, and they can check and see how well they are doing. So it's a really nice, healthy kind of rewards that they get when they have maximized their time effectively studying. So that's one way that perhaps if they are using their phone, maybe they are using that app, and it's called a Forest app. Or they can use a simple stopwatch. Now, as simple as this is, it is very powerful way to avoid burnout. So try and use the Pomodoro Method in revising, your child revising. The fourth point is encourage active learning. Now, there are two ways of learning, and the educators on this platform will tell you that leaders always go, we don't want to see children learning passively. We want to see children learning actively, because research shows that when children learn actively, there's 80% chance of them able to retain that information rather than learning passively. Now, what do I mean by that? So when children have studied for maybe their 25 to the 30 using the Pomodoro Method, they can do quizzes to test themselves of what they have learned. Can they retrieve it? Have they retained that information? Now, they could also write it down. They can represent it in a different way. Maybe can they draw pictures to represent what they have actually learned? If it's a keyword, can they write the keyword and try to write the definition for it? So they are actively engaged in that process of trying to retrieve that information. So using quizzes is one. They can use flashcards. So flashcards now, these days, you can actually buy flashcards either in a shop. So if it's, let's say a child is studying for physics or chemistry or whatever subject, maths, you can get flashcards for that exam board that the child could use to test themselves to see have they retained that information. There is this saying that if you want to learn something, read about it, but if you want to master it, teach it to someone else. Is there a younger sibling that your child could teach what they've learned to? Or with these days with technology, maybe they can pretend to be a teacher and try to teach themselves to a camera and watch themselves back. Or you can be a good student as a parent. It's one way of you also showing that you are involved, you are invested in it. Sit down, let them teach you. You'll be amazed what they can teach. Even being in education for many years, so learn from my children. So that might be a good revision for you as a parent to get in. Now, this approach makes the studying more engaging for you as a parent to get in. The fifth tip is use past exam papers. And I say this with caution as parent. Check that you know which exam board, if your child is doing GCSEs. Check which exam board so that you are using the correct past papers for them. Now, practicing those questions, perhaps after they've done their Pomodoro Method, practicing those questions just gives them that confidence. It helps them to familiarize themselves with the exam technique and the format. Identify reoccurring questions. So when children practice this past question, they are able to know how certain questions are asked in different ways, and then they are able to answer them in different ways of what is expected. Build exam confidence by sometimes reading the mark scheme. So get the students, when they have the past question, it gives them the mark scheme, and sometimes it gives them also, I think they will have access to this, they will have the examiner's report. Read this. What is it that is expected of them? When children are doing the Key Stage 2 SAT, not so much of the examiner's report is fine. Maybe looking at the mark scheme is enough for them to check which responses would have been accurate and which responses wouldn't have been, is enough. But GCSE A levels, definitely checking the examiner's report is great too. Next tip, which is our sixth one, is manage exam stress. Now, exams can be overwhelming, and there is that research that shows that stress, of course, can harm performance. So we don't want a situation where the children are so overwhelmed and become very nervous about the exam. Enjoy the process with them, encourage them. You as a parent, stay calm. Tell them how confident they become. So do your best to encourage your child to remove that exam stress. So 7, develop a time management strategy. Help your child break their revision into manageable chunks. Effective techniques being: prioritize weaker subjects first, set specific goals for each study session, and use timers to stay on track. And again, if you're using the Forest app, that would help you. 8, encourage a healthy habit. And I can't stress this enough. Your child's brain needs the right fuel to function at its best. Johns Hopkins University research found that students who sleep, or children who sleep 7 to 9 hours per night, perform 20% better at cognitive tests. And all the exam, of course, as we know, is cognitive. So we need them to be able to sleep well. Encourage your child to have nutritious meals, adequate sleep, and stay hydrated. The 9th tip is encourage a post-exam reflection. During this period, the children might be practicing a lot in school. So they might be doing mocks, they might be practicing past papers in school. Encourage that conversation around what went well after they've had a mock, what could be improved. So as the child continue to talk about where they did well and what could be improved, this helped them to perform better. B3 Inspire, we are passionate about empowering young people to succeed in education and beyond. Want more study tips? Follow B3 Inspire for daily motivation and inspiration. Subscribe for more parenting or education advice. Comment below with your best exam technique. Wishing all students all the best in their exam. And remember, build your foundation, believe in your potential, become unstoppable. See you in the next video.